Today we're going to be talking about how the clay we are created and some aspects that are important to remember about this work or this story. Okay, one of the most important themes of clay we are created is the perennial struggle between mankind and the environment. More than not, it is mankind that is on the losing and on this struggle, as it is demonstrated by the death of a little girl, Azucena, trapped by a mudslide and unable to be freed by the largest technology. Now, I would argue that the three main themes in Clay Were Created are the power of nature, loyalty, and helplessness. The power of nature is evidenced in the situation that young Azucena has found herself in, thanks to a volcanic eruption that has sent mudslides into many local villages. Azucena has been swallowed up to her neck by a mud pit. A series of natural disasters have left Azucena in a terrifying predicament and ultimately led to her death. Now, also let's remember that this story is based on real facts, something that actually happened, you know, and that it was uh, depicted by the writer in a different way with different names so that the identity of the real characters will be protected. Sorry. Now, let's look into more depth this thing about the themes of the story. The theme of loyalty is introduced by Rolf Carley, the partner of our narrator. He transforms from being an objective newsreader present in the in the area to inform and observe, to being an emotionally involved lifeline for Azucena. His growing emotional involvement inspires him to stay with her throughout the last days and nights of her life, providing encouragement and telling stories to detract her from her predicament. Okay? So in this case, he's there to protect her or to help her. He's trying hopelessly to help her, but nevertheless, he cannot really get it. You know, and little by little, he starts understanding that it's not going to be possible for him to actually save her. And yet, he knows that, you know, he is the only thing that she has right now in terms of friendship, in terms of family, in terms of everything. The last hope, or rather than a hope, the last person she can talk to, the last person she can rely on until it is all over. The thing of hopelessness that I was talking about is powerfully and heartbreakingly portrayed in this story. Our narrator does everything possible to try and locate a pump that could save the girl's life. All her efforts are futile, and while the president of Colombia eventually promises a pump, it proves to be an empty promise. Both Ralph and Eva Luna remain unable to help the girl, despite their deep emotional involvement and desire to save her. Okay? The struggle between humans and the natural world has been explored time and again in countless plays, novels, poems, and stories. And of Clay We Created is one of many such examples. In Allende's short story, the struggle is won decisively by nature, despite man's extraordinary technological advances. Technology may have given Rolf Carley and other members of the international news media the wherewithal to broadcast live reports all over the world, but it cannot save the life of a little girl trapped by an enormous mudslide. In taking the life of Azucena, the forces of nature have scored yet another victory over human civilization. So, the impotence of science and technology in the face of nature is further illustrated by the inability of seismologists and geologists to determine the precise time of the volcano's eruption the very eruption that set off the massive mudslide that has caused so much death and destruction. But even if these scientists were able to know when a volcano would erupt, they would not be able to do anything to stop it. In the event, the scientists find themselves in the exact same position as Ralph. They can once stand by and watch while nature takes its inexorable course. So, in other words, we as human beings are nothing at the face of nature. Okay? We cannot really predict when nature is going to attack. We cannot really stop nature from reacting to different things that humans have done to it. You know, pollution, pollution in the rivers, pollution in the air. And sometimes you find and you know that volcanoes are dormant for a very long time, and after 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 100 years, whatever, they erupt and they cause havoc and mass destruction. So here we have in this story a clear example of what nature can do to us and how much destruction it can bring to people. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share with you. Okay, this is already like more than 5 minutes. In your evaluation for the video of around 15 minutes, 5 minutes, I'm sorry, 5, you only have to talk about the following: summary, biography of the author, literary elements, vocabulary words, and personal reflection. This, I could, for example, give you a personal reflection on this story out of Clay We Are Created. I just did, but I can repeat it to you again. Definitely, this story, makes us reflect, makes us think about the power of nature and how we have to respect nature, because when nature rebels and when it explodes in all these different forms and manifestations, there's nothing we can do. There's no human power that can actually protect us. That is a personal reflection that I just given you. Vocabulary words, well, that's something that you guys can pull out as well. Literary elements. Okay, this will be like the content that is right there in your rubric. So, what is it telling you to do? It's telling you to do this. Pick one of the stories. Okay, this is for the trimester exam. Okay, students will create a video presentation based on the story. This is an individual work. The total amount of points is 50. Credits of the quoted lines, photos, soundtracks, and any information was introduced at the end of the video. So this is the rubric, and I know that it does say in the video, and we could look at that here, that is around 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Which I think it's not enough time, really. You just saw what I did. You just saw that I'm still recording, and I'm already in minute 8:54. Okay, formality, cotton, compliance. I think. So let me see where it talks about the time. Yes, compliance. The work is submitted to assignments. The length of the video is approximately 5 minutes long, between 4.5 minutes and 5.5 minutes, with no unnecessary dead air. You see? But as you can see, if you really analyze the story, if you really want to talk about it, you really want to say something significant, something that you want to share with the audience, definitely it's going to be more than that, more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is nothing in this case. Okay, but let's say that the minimum is 5 minutes. Okay, now talking to some students about they were sharing their worries, their thoughts about it, and they say, well, one of them, she was saying, well, it's hard for me to actually talk about, let's say, what is it? There's something here. It's called, well, this properly dressed is okay. The student has covered a summary of the story, a short biography of the author, the literary elements. As I said, here in more than 5 minutes, I was talking about the story. I haven't necessarily touched these different aspects, but that would definitely take me 5 minutes, or it could take me more or less 5 minutes if I tailor it, if I just like go ahead and talk about it carefully. I look for a short biography and say, okay, Isabel Allende was born, in Peru. She grew up in Chile. She was educated in the United States. Literary elements that we find in the story. Okay, we find metaphor, we find repetition, soliloquy, different things. Okay, summary of the story. Well, I just gave you that. At least 5 vocabulary words, that would also be fine, and a personal reflection on the story. So I am giving you this as a first example. I plan to give you other examples by myself, as of different literary analysis, that we could have about this. But what I'm trying to tell you is that some of you are going to tell me, oh, 5 minutes is too much. No way. 5 minutes is, I repeat it once, I repeat it again. It's basically nothing for what you actually have to do. Okay? So let's go ahead. Let's think about what we're going to do. And I'm just giving you a brief guidance. So if you're thinking about, in this case, this part, your face is fully visible and well lit and when lit. That's another important thing that you have to deal with. At least 4 images related to the topic are provided. Special effects such as superimposed wordings, images, and background music are originally included in this video. Okay, so this is the part in which I'd say, well, if you're not an expert at this and you have a lot that you have to put into it, then I would allow you to do it with another person. But just one more person, having 3 or 4 persons is just a crowd, one more person who could help you with this, and that person will not be talking much. That person really, that person can talk a little bit, but that person is gonna do the part of the visual effects. Okay, so let that person take care of that, and you take care of the different aspects of the talking. Okay, you will be talking mostly because you're not doing the special effects. Your partner will, and that will be fine. Okay, so with that being said, guys, I'm giving you this as a guideline. I'm gonna put it up in how do you call it? I'm going to put it up in YouTube, all right, so that you can see it. And as I said, I will also try to make some other videos of myself explaining, so that you will feel that I have the authority to ask you to do a 5-minute video. I myself, I got to confess, I'm not very good with the special effects, but I can go ahead and learn with you as we're going to go ahead and look into different videos that teach us how to make special effects. Okay, all right, guys, thank you, and see you. Goodbye.